Hey guys, welcome to our Friday Advanced Markets Training. My name is Mario Delgadillo alongside our Vice President, Miss Maritza Sepulveda. And today we are going to do some illustrating for you guys on participating whole life with the carrier Guardian. And we're going to, Maritza's going to share her screen here in just a second, and then we're going to work through a client example. And the purpose, guys, is for us to continue to see and to visualize different scenarios. In my opinion, going through the reps is how you learn to do this right. Okay, so without further ado, I am going to bring on my business partner and great friend, our vice president, Maritza Sepulveda. Take it away, girl.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen. So let's start, and then can everybody see this?
There we go. Yes.
Awesome. Okay, perfect. All right.
So the client, let's say Orlando, your clients are in California, right? Okay, so let's do a California client, let's say 52 years old. And how much does this client want to drop in, Orlando? Give us an idea. What's a dollar?
I would say to start with 500,000 to $1 million. So let's go with the million round number.
Okay, I like that number. That's a nice round number.
1 million.
1 million, yes.
Okay.
Actually, Orlando, if you're okay with it, why don't you play the client, right? Because these are going to be some of your client potentials.
Okay.
So she'll ask you the questions and we'll take it from there.
All right, got it.
So Orlando, I know you have these assets, these funds available, and you're pretty much ready to start building your own bank. So what is your goal? You know, is this growth something that you want to see immediately? I mean, do you want to focus on the life insurance side? What is it that you want to do? What do you want to protect? What are your concerns? What keeps you awake at night? Tell me.
Well, I want to find a way use this vehicle more to I'm a real estate investor, so I'm constantly looking for opportunities to buy buildings. I have a pretty decent sized portfolio, but I'm always looking for the next deal. So I want to be able to access this money and be able to use it.
Got it. How soon do you want to access it? Realistically, I mean, do you have something lined up, or do you have something that, maybe in the next 6 months? What's the goal? What's the plan?
I would say at least within the next 6 months. I mean, if I find a good deal next week, I will pull the trigger. But I would say at least 6 months I should find something.
Perfect. And then are you the sole investor for this particular deal that we're working on?
Awesome. Yes, I would be. I would be by myself. Yes.
Perfect. Just so you know, do have the option of adding multiple investors on one of these products. Okay. I just want to throw that out in the event, I don't know, maybe you're partnered up with a spouse or a friend or, multiple people on an LLC. We can certainly do that as well. That way it takes liability away from you. Okay.
Oh, great. Yeah. Because I do own different LLCs for my businesses and my buildings. So that's good to know.
Perfect. All right, so I'm going to present you what I think is going to be best for you for now. Okay, only because I know you want to, access some of the liquid funds in the contract as soon as possible. And I mean as soon as possible because it's less than a year. Okay.
Okay.
Typically,
yes.
With a different type of participating whole life, I would not recommend pulling year one unless absolutely necessary.
Okay.
However, because it's something that you need, we do offer this product specifically for investors and business owners because it allows you to utilize most of what you're initially investing immediately. Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Perfect. And then what is your health looking like at the moment?
I'm in great health.
Okay.
Great health. No issues. No non-smoker.
Perfect. That's good. Don't smoke. Okay. So this particular product is going to be the Executive Strategies Whole Life. And what it allows you to do is to put in a certain amount of money over $100,000 annually. Okay, it's really important that you know that. So you're not just going to fund it one time. The reason I ask if you want to do one initial $1 million, or do you want to pay that for a few years?
It would be a one time. I would say at least if I could access it. Yeah.
So this is what I'm going to go ahead and recommend. Because we do have to add $100,000 every year, are you comfortable with doing the full 1 million, or do you want me to break it down less and then we'll add 100 grand for 5 years and then we'll see how your investment does?
How about we go half? I go 500 now and maybe 500 in the year. You do that?
Yes, we certainly can. And then right here, you guys, this is for the agents. I'm adding the scheduled PUA. Remember, when it's scheduled, it's going to be coming from the premium, okay? So you have 2 ways to do it. You can add additional funds, which is what I'm going to do here for him. And then we're gonna leave it at 500,000. This is such a big product, you guys, that you don't wanna overfund with PUAs, okay? So we're just gonna do the standard, what I always tell you guys, do the minimum of $250 annually. So instead of being 500,000, you know, in a one-time lump sum payment, he's actually gonna pay 520 or $500,250. Does that make sense for everybody?
And that's just the first month?
That's just for the year. So we have to put something for a PUA in every
Okay,
contract.
and then year 2 to 5, he'll put 100,000.
Correct. So he's gonna put 100,000 plus the 250 that we're adding annually.
Okay, every year. Okay.
Yeah, so let me just make sure I'm structuring this correctly. So I'm gonna add all the free riders, the enhanced accidental benefit rider. I'm gonna make sure that I don't mech it because we are adding a lot of money, and then the PUA amount here is going to be, okay, perfect.
I don't know if you answered this already, or if you stated this already. Is there a time frame of when he has to pay the PUAs?
A time frame?
Yes. So I know you said within the year. So that's as long as it's within the year.
So for a scheduled PUA, you're always going to pay it with the very first premium. For an unscheduled, that's optional. It's at your discretion whenever you're ready and whenever you're, you know, if you want to pay it. So it's optional. It's not something that you have to pay. It's just something that we add to the illustration. Okay. And then all right.
Now with this, Marita, are you trying to figure out how much insurance coverage
No, the insurance coverage is going to be ridiculous.
later? Okay.
I can show you here. So if you look, so don't pay attention to the 3 and forward as far as the amount here. So this is going to be for the 2 years. What I'm trying to do, hold on, let me break it down real quick. Sorry, I got to go back real quick, you guys. I'm trying to do something a little bit different, and I'll explain why. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, Orlando, is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and do this for about 5 years for you. That way we utilize the entire $1 million, and we don't have to worry about overfunding anything else thereafter. Is that okay?
Sure.
I mean, if you completely have the option to do so, but you don't have to.
Okay. So Marita, this is me speaking, not client. So if let's say he decided to put the full $1 million up front, He says,
Yeah.
no, I got the million. I want to put the million right now. I'll have it. I see a building. I might, want to be able to borrow for myself. If he does do that full million, full amount, is that gonna he has access to those funds
Immediate.
immediately, right? Or at least a couple days after.
Yeah, correct. So okay, let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and do
Okay.
the full 1 million, just so you can see
Okay.
what it would look like.
Okay.
But here's the catch though, remember, because this is a product that you have to overfund at $100,000
Yeah.
every year, you cannot take, if you're not going to fund it anymore after year one, you cannot take the full 1 million. You would have to take,
Oh,
yeah,
got it.
you know what I'm
Got
saying?
it.
If he
Yeah.
chooses not to, if he
Okay.
chooses not to contribute anymore to it past year one, then that changes everything.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
What he's allowed to take. So we have to be very careful. Okay, so you have access to always, with any contract that you do participating whole life, you have access up to 95% of the total cash value in the contract. Okay, so if you look here, it's 1,250,000. Remember, he's not funding this year, right? But this is
Right.
what immediate access to, and this is what his death benefit is, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exactly what it would look like if we did that amount. What I don't want to do is put it, structure it this way, because then it's going to ask, well, why, in the event that he no longer wants to overfund, let's just say he offsets it, after the first year. That's it. That's all he wants to do.
Right.
What it's going to do is it's going to start eating at his cash value, because it's going to pay for itself. So it's going to go ahead and take 100 every year, because that's the minimum with this specific contract. So instead of having 1 million, 1.8 million, he's going to have 1.7. You know what I'm saying? Because it's
Yeah.
100 grand every year, which some clients do. They don't care. They just want to make sure they have access, and they want the death benefit.
So is that 100 grand? Is that 100 grand set based on on a million, you need to pay 10%?
It's based on this specific product. So this product, the minimum to start this product is 100 grand. So you have to pay 100 grand every year, regardless.
A year, no matter how much you put in.
Exactly.
Got
Okay.
it.
Exactly. So if you put in, that's what I'm saying. So if you don't want to continue paying it, no worries, but it's going to charge you 100 grand from your cash value every year after. Okay.
But if you show them the value, I mean, a guy like this, Orlando,
Mm-hmm.
like if he's got $1 million and he's got $1 million participating, guaranteed, protected, but he's got 950 that he gets immediate access to. A guy who has $1 million, and if you show him the value, he's not going to bat his eye to put 100 grand a year in this thing for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Is that safe to say, Maritza?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically like, it's $100,000 that you're just adding to your pot, and every year you get access to even more money, right? And yeah, I don't see that being a problem. But I get what you're saying, Orlando, because sometimes people are like, no, I don't want to pay anything. I just want to drop once and be one and done. And unfortunately, that's just not the way the product works.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, see, so it doesn't let me offset it. So you would have to tell them that in the event that they no longer want to contribute to it, they will see a hit. First of all, you can't, if you're going to do it the way, just dumping it. And this is just this specific product. If we were talking about another product, completely different. This is the product that I recommend for anybody that has anything over $100,000 to dump in every year. If they don't have that, then don't even offer it, because it's not attainable. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to be able to keep up with it, and it's going to lapse,
Mm-hmm.
It's going to collapse on itself. So again, in the event that they no longer want to give premiums, if they want to keep it, let's just say for 3 years, then they have to make sure that the total cash value that they take in year one has to subtract that $300,000, because it's for 3 years. So
yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So instead of taking the 950, you have to subtract 300K from that, and that's going to be his total cash value available, because he's no longer going to give premiums in these 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to
It's
pay
better.
for itself.
It's better to break it down annually. I mean, he has access to more funds right away. Yeah.
Exactly. That way, if you use it for one specific investment, and I'll do that now. If you use it for one specific investment, you'd come back and then overfund it if that investment goes well. If it doesn't go well, oh well, you know. I mean, at least you didn't utilize all the money immediately. You still have a contract. So what I would do, this is what I would recommend. I would recommend that they put half in first.
Mm-hmm.
Is that 5 million? Yes. Annual amount. Sorry, no.
500.
2,000. Okay. And then we're gonna add let's see. And then that way we can offset it for 5 years. So sorry, I'm still trying to do this, you guys. Give me 1 second. Okay, so this is exactly how I would do it. So that way, year 5, you still have your cash value of 1 million, but you have access to this amount immediately, and then this is your death benefit. Again, you know, this is how I would recommend it. I would break it down. We can add more. We can make it for 3 years. That way they have a bigger cash value amount to utilize. They just can't use the full 1 million without overfunding with 100 grand every year. So if that's the case, if a client can do that, shoot, say less, you know, that works. But I wouldn't recommend for them to put the entire amount. I would recommend that they break it down, you know, just so they don't have to continuously pay such a large amount, especially if they're investing and they don't know how the investment is going to turn out.
What was the initial year 1 amount deposit?
Annually,
Was it 100,000?
194.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you look down here, this is going to be the annual 194,000. And then if they want monthly, 16 grand. And so on and so forth. And then so this right here. So this product, just so you know, just so you guys understand, and I'm clear, this product pays less, right? Because the client has immediate access to most of the cash value accumulated. So, yeah, it's really important that you know this one pays 15% in commission. So this is your base amount right here, 2.9 million. So if you subtract 15% of that, that's what you take home. And you get paid every year a 15% amount. It doesn't change, it doesn't lower. So as long as the client has the contract, you will get paid 15%, okay? So what is that? Somebody do the math for me. 2,912,905.
400. No, is it 436?
935.
Yep, that's your commission.
That sucks.
What do you mean that sucks? What are you talking about?
Every year, forever? Good God. I'm just kidding. That was sarcasm.
Oh, okay. I was like, what? That's $500,000 in your pocket that you didn't have. So
if he were to invest, you're saying 194,297 a year, or
Correct.
just once?
No. He's going to invest
Yeah.
it for 5 years. So he's going to pay this 5 years, because if you look here at the cumulative, this is when he almost gets to 1 million, right? So he has 1 million,
Yeah.
right? So we want to make sure that he only pays for 5 years, because if you go, he's going to go over here in year 6, if you can see this. So
Right.
5 years, if he invests for 5 years, he can utilize this amount right here for whatever he wants during that time. Okay.
Let me ask you a question though, because by the way, this is awesome. Thank you. Because it's just, these are the scenarios. This is where light bulbs come off and go on. So Orlando,
Mhm.
thinking of one of your investors though, right? Would $181,000 even do anything for him? It wouldn't, right? He's a
Mm,
guy who wants to go buy a property, and we're not talking about homes. He might be buying buildings, right?
building
So
buildings.
yeah, so from his perspective, this is a great scenario. But if he comes back and he's like, I get all the numbers and I understand what you're saying, Maritza, but I need to have a scenario where I'm going to pay into this for 5 years, but year one, I at least need about what, 600,000, 700,000. Does that sound a little bit more like one of your clients?
Yes.
Yeah, because they're putting in, 6, 7, 8 million, 1.2 as a down payment on these buildings. So to have a little bit more access to a little bit more funds, I think that might, yeah, would
Yeah.
the more
Yeah.
appealing to him, and them as well.
Got it.
Because remember, we're just using this to be his own bank, right? So this is something he's going to do anyways. He'd just cash it out. He'd just do it all
Yeah, I mean,
cash.
they have this
Here,
in
he's
like,
like, hey, I'll put it here and then pull it so that it's still, I'm being my own bank.
yeah, because they have this in their Wells Fargo, or whatever accounts right now, liquid, and they're just waiting for investments. So,
So if we have that scenario, I'll show you.
mhm.
So if you wanted to pull exactly 600,000 immediately, no worries. We can definitely do that. And then we're gonna do is after year 5, and let's just say he was paying for year 5. Again, these numbers are all hypothetical. He's only gonna pay that amount. So don't worry about this. We're gonna offset the premium here to where he only pays 100,000. That's why it says 700. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna remove the 700. We're just gonna offset the premium. I can't illustrate it here because it has to be done manually for this specific product. But as long as he pays 100,000, that's why the 7 is there, right? Because we're adding to the 6. He will continuously have his cash value. He has access to this amount immediately.
Mhm.
If he pays, that amount, and thereafter, he's good to go. So I cannot if he literally has 600,000 that he wants to dump in, I would not recommend this product. Or here, let's do this, just so it makes more sense, because this is probably going to be more comfortable for them. Okay. So this would be the amount that he would have to pay initially, right? But hold on, I don't know why I did that. It's probably not going to let me because 600 is a lot of money. But if they just wanted to keep it at 100 grand, that would be way easier.
But
You know what I'm saying? Because anybody, if they have that type of money to overfund, let me see if it let me. So sometimes it doesn't work, you guys. So see, it won't let me do the full 600,000 because that's a lot of money to just dump in and then just pay 100 grand. So it has to add up, like minimum that they can do. You know what I'm saying? Like it just, so I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend they do a different product if they want to continue, or if they have the 600 to fund, I would recommend that they just use half of it to start it and then put in the additional 300. That way it works, because if I just try to get them to pay a premium of 100 grand, but I want to overfund it with 600, it just does not make sense. It's going to mech, and they're going to get taxed because it's potentially building too much money. You know what I'm saying? So, if they wanted to
that wouldn't be a bad. that
Yeah.
would be something that I'd be able to sell is, just get your feet wet, see the product works, 300, 100 every year after that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, because this, I'm thinking of other investors too. There's some that are not as big as this guy, as some of the bigger ones that I have, but there's others where,
Yeah. So if they were to
you
do
know,
under
mhm.
600 for every year or for 2 years or 3 years, this is what they would get, But I'm trying to look at the break even point. Give me 1 second. I mean, they're still breaking even between year 4 and 5, which is stupid. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's
So then they're putting, okay, after that, wow.
mhm. Yeah. So this is the cumulative, and then this is the cash value.
So let's say after year 5, I mean, like you said,
Mhm.
just to keep the policy, they still have to put a minimum $100,000 every year.
Every year has to be a minimum. If it's two partners, it's 50,000,
Mhm.
50,000. If it's three partners, you divide the 100 divided by 3. So
And
it has to
that's
be
and that's that's this executive product, right?
this
But you
is
do have other products.
yes,
So what's the benefit for the client to do the executive product?
because they have access to
Um,
the full cash value.
okay.
So
And the other products, they have what? How much available?
it depends how you structure it. So look, let's change it. Let's just say you have a rich client, right? Let's change the product and I'll show you the difference. So for the executive, yes, it has to mandatory be 100 grand every single year. So let's just say you came to me with 300,000, right? You say, I have 300,000, what can I do? The first thing I'm going to ask you is, okay, well, do you have 300,000 to pay every single year, or do you have 300,000 right now? And then what do you want to continuously pay so we can keep the
It's a good
contract?
question.
Mhm. So what would be your answer as the investor, Orlando?
I would say I have 300 now, but I would say be willing to invest $100,000 into the
Okay.
product.
So we can invest, and this is going to be an annual amount, okay?
Mhm.
This is going to make way more sense if we break it down. Okay, so if you look over here, you guys, in this bottom corner, if you look at the scheduled amount, that's the standard 250 that we have to invest every single year, right? The 100,000 is going to be his base premium because that's what he can pay every year. Okay, and then the unscheduled PUA, so it only allows me to do 136, not the full 200. We can work with the numbers. Because if I put in too much money initially, it'll mech and he'll get taxed. And we never ever want to get taxed. So if you look at the unscheduled amount of 136,985, that is his cash value in year 1. So anything you allocate, remember, to the PUA is going to be what you can borrow from, okay, in any participating whole life contract. That's why it's really important for us to put more on the PUA side to build the client more cash value, and so that they break even immediately. If you're not, remember, this is a rule. Number 1 rule in any participating whole life product. If you're not breaking even in a product like this before year 10, there's a problem with what you are being shown or what you're structuring. Okay. So super important to keep that in mind. The ideal goal for any product is to break even between year 8 and 10. Okay. 10 is a little off. So let's look at this. When do you break even in this? You're breaking even between year 6 and 7. So that is perfect. That is music to my ears. And then look at your death benefit. So if you pass away, God forbid, and you have a bunch of children, your family will get this amount, and then it just continues to grow and grow if you keep the product at 100 grand. You don't have to pay the unscheduled. That's why it's unscheduled. Remember, unscheduled is optional. Scheduled is the 250, the standard that you always, the minimum that you can dump into the contract. So it continues to grow in cash value, right? You always want to have any number on there, but the minimum is $250 annually, okay?
So
So,
Marita, the way this illustration is, you put $100,000 in and he has access to 137?
so we're putting in close to the 300 because you have 300, right? You came with me
Right.
300 and you're willing to do 100 grand thereafter, right? So, hold on.
Oh, you did. Okay, you did the full 300 in and then 100 grand. Okay, gotcha.
Correct. Yeah, sorry, I missed something. Let me go back. So we have to do it for 1 year only because we're only dumping in that 200 for the first year. There you go. So see? So it's only 100 grand plus the 250 and the scheduled PUA that we have to do. But then that would be your cash value every year after. Let's see. So you're breaking even. Yeah, looks good. Between year 8 and 9, which is perfect. So yeah, so any amount that we put into the unscheduled PUA side is going to, now, can we add more? Absolutely, but then we have to add some term insurance, which is gonna take a little bit of money from your cash value. Okay, so every time we add more money into PUA, we have to add more life insurance. Okay, is that making sense for everybody? Does anybody have any questions? Sharina, I love this product so much. Me too, girl. So no question. Nobody has questions. Y'all can do this by yourself.
Let me ask one more on the. So let's say we get to year 4, he's committed 100 grand and can't make the $100,000 payment that year. His business maybe went down or just had a slow year.
Okay.
What happens to the policy?
Nothing.
Or what's the minimum he can put? Is the 100 grand going to be taken from the cash value to keep it going?
Yes. Yeah.
Got
So
it.
anytime he doesn't make a premium payment, so he has the option of paying monthly, which would be $8,600, or he has an option of paying annually, right? I mean, that's up to him. That's at his discretion. We recommend doing annually or monthly, never in between, because you get paid less as the agent. I don't know why. That's just how it is. So let's just say he misses 6 months worth of premiums. So those 6 months, if you multiply the 8,604 times 6, that's going to come out from his cash value in year 4. For many that he doesn't make a premium payment. So if he does it annually, yes, the full annual amount of 100,250 would come out of any accumulation that he has. So instead of being 446, he's going to be at 346 for that whole year.
Okay.
Okay, so he's 100 grand less in cash value, which is not terrible, honestly, but it happens. Sometimes people can't make their premiums.
Right.
Also, I don't know if they asked you this question. If they wanted to take money out of the account, what would be the best option? To pull out, borrow, or what's the other one? Take out a loan? No, borrow is taking out a loan.
Borrow. There's 2 different types of ways to take money out. You can borrow or you can withdraw. So when you borrow, remember, really important, you guys, when you borrow, you are making a payment schedule to pay it back, okay? So that's something to keep in mind, okay? The borrowing percentage for this product, I believe, is a 3.5% interest, which you can take out 2 ways. You can pay it automatically from whatever you're borrowing, any amount that you have accumulated, or you can wait till the end of the year and pay it back before the anniversary, okay? So super important, but you have the option of making a repayment schedule from 1 year. So you have the option of paying it back in 1 year, or you have the option of paying it in 100 years. So it's completely up to you. As long as you continue to keep making your premium payments, and as long as you have a repayment schedule in place, you will not see a difference in your cash value. Now, if you withdraw, that's a completely different story. Withdrawing is with the intention of not paying this cash value back. Now, because it's a gain, anything that's a gain in the IRS's eyes that you take is going to be taxed. So you have to be very careful how you explain this to your clients, because everybody thinks, oh, this is going to be a tax-free product forever and I can just take my money. No. Okay. You have to make a repayment schedule. in order to not get taxed on gains, okay?
So let's say, sorry.
It's okay.
So let's say we don't pay it back and I pass away. What happens to them? What happens then?
Well, obviously, if you don't repay it back and you die, any death benefit that's available is your collateral. So they're going to take out, for example, let's say in year 10, you have $1.176 million and you die, and then you think your family is going to get 4.018, right? Well, no, they're going to take that 1.176 that you took and didn't repay from this amount and then give the remainder to your family. Because this is always going to be the collateral, right? I mean, nobody's going to take a hit for the money that you took and then didn't repay. Does that make sense for everybody?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Any questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah, let me run through a scenario for you. So as far as taxes are concerned, right? So let's just say not necessarily this client, but let's say I drop in $1 million, okay? And I'm paying $100,000 over the next 5 years, which is what we talked about. And then I'm starting to I borrow 5, and then I'm paying it back, but I end up paying it back, and then I borrow again, and I keep doing that a couple times, right? All the while, my cash value continues to grow. Okay, and so I've borrowed this money and paid it back multiple times. And then let's say I'm 43 and I do that. I do this a bunch of times until I'm 53. And then at 53, I stop, right? I don't owe them anything. My cash value is still there. 20 years later, I pass away, right? 73 years old. There's no debts owed, but I have a silly amount of cash value and a death benefit, right? When I die, the family gets the death benefit, which is massive, right? Because the cash value has continued to grow. So I walk away. Initially, I look back at this and I put $1 million in one time, right? Used it, paid it back, used it, paid it back, right? Which is still the initial $1 million, right? Just playing with it. But when I die, I get like a $20 million plus, death benefit. And that death benefit's tax-free.
Right. Death benefit.
So if you pull and pay, you're never paying taxes.
No, never.
Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah, this is completely tax-free as long as
that scenario is bananas.
It is.
But you would also get both, right? You would get the cash value and the death benefit.
No.
No?
It's whatever's greater.
Gotcha. Okay.
No. So really important. This is like a misconception that people have, and you will always hear agents say you do get both. The reason people say that you get both is because what you're increasing in cash value annually is what you're going to increase in death benefit. So the cash value can't over increase the death benefit. So hypothetically, if you die, yes, it looks like you are getting both cash, or your family rather, because you're dead. So your family is getting the death benefit. I mean, let's be real. So it looks like you are kind of hypothetically getting the cash value and the death benefit. But this is why I tell my clients, it's super important to utilize that cash value. Take it. It's yours. It's your accumulation. That's the reason we started this. If not, I mean, just go get a term or something. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but it's super important that you understand that you do not get both. So you will not add the cash value like in year one. Let's just say you pass away in year one, 137,353 plus the death benefit. No, that is not the case. What happens is when you see the death benefit plus the cash value, it's almost identical into what it's not identical. Yeah, it's growing at the same rate the cash value is growing, which is why a lot of agents think that yes, you do get both, but you don't. So the way that
Wences used to explain it, which was where it kind of clicked for me, is it like, let's say, guys, you look at year 9, it says the cash value is 1,040,204, right? He said, explain it like that 1 million is included in that 3.9, right? So it's 3.9 that you're going to get, but 1 million of that is, he's like, that's the way you want to actually at least let them look at it. So it's like, I didn't lose cash value. It's included in the death benefit. So when you die, you're going to get that $1 million plus they're going to give you $2 million extra in a death benefit.
Correct.
Right.
So the way I explain it to my clients is, so if you look at your increase every single year, right? Let's say in year 9, if you look at the increase, So if you add this to this, it's going to be very similar to what you're getting here. So that's why a lot of agents and clients say yes, but no. The reality, legally, the answer is no. You don't get both, but hypothetically, kind of, because any increase you have in cash value, you're going to increase in death benefit. So it can't, the cash value can never outgrow the death benefit, because again, that would be too big of a gain, and we would get taxed by the IRS. You know, we'll
I
get
have a question. What if, could this be a possibility? What if the family's like, oh, we don't want to take it yet. Can we still allow it to grow?
Of course.
Even though the insured has passed away.
So
Is there a way to be transferred?
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You can always sell your certificate, but you have to make sure that it is in a
Trust.
trust. Yes. A trust, so that, you know, for example, let's just say you want to pass it on to your spouse. Let's just say, Orlando, you're married, you have, you know, you want to make sure that this continues to grow and your wife can continue to utilize it in the event that you pass away. You can certainly do that, but you have to have a living trust in place before you pass away, so that she can automatically get it. She's going to, you know, continue paying for it, growing, all that jazz, or not paying for it. She can utilize the net cash value in the contract. Let's just say you died in year 9, so she could utilize this to pay the premiums every single year. So yes, that is definitely something you can do. Just keep that in mind, you guys. Really important to tell your clients. So anybody?
And what is the average? Sorry, what is the average return on this one, the specific one?
It depends. So the dividend payout, I can show you a dividend schedule, or I can send it to you because I have to look for it. But there is a dividend. So this year with this particular product, so I don't know if you guys know, but I would encourage you to look it up. If you Google, you know, top 5 insurance participating whole life insurance carriers in the country, Guardian's going to be at number 1, which is why I love using the product, because it's very, very hard for another agent from another company to come and beat the numbers that I'm showing my client. So I never lose clients with this, you know, as long as it's structured correctly and in the client's best interest, you will not have a client cancel this contract. So yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, the dividend this year, Orlando, just to answer the question, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was the highest paying in the history of Guardian. And they've been around for, you know, a long time.
Wow.
Long
Great.
time.
Great. Yeah, because like you say, they borrow at a 3.5%.
Yeah.
They're gaining, let's say 10%. They're still netting 7. That's still pretty solid.
Exactly. Another thing, when I have investors come to me, and especially if they choose the executive strategies plan, sometimes they say, well, Maritza, I really don't have a need for, you know, this much death benefit anymore. I don't know if I want to pay $100,000 anymore. I'm old. I've sold my business. What can we do? A lot. So what we can do is we can do a 1035 exchange to a more, you know, a smaller premium product, but any accumulation that he has, we can transfer over to the new policy. Okay, so that's very important that you tell your clients, because some clients don't want to, you know, have such a big contract forever and ever. Or, I mean, two options. You can offset the premium in like year 10, like we talked about, or they can transfer over to a different product, or they can buy multiple products with any cash value accumulation. So, and overfund that product so that way it begins to build, or they can just take the cash value, pay a tax on it, and start an annuity. I mean, and then the $1 million annuity for 3 years, 5 years would be awesome. So that's going to provide a retirement for them forever. So that's an option too. I've done that multiple times with my clients because I mean, the accumulation's there. They have no need for it anymore. They have multiple products, so they're not terribly concerned about death benefit. You know, at this point, they just want to make sure they have an income forever.
Yeah, and the annuity serves the same purpose. There's no fees. Now they're not paying for insurance, and it's just protected growth.
Exactly.
Right. So it's a perfect product to transition into.
Yep, absolutely. So
Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions, you guys? No, and this can be, just so you know. Yeah, go ahead.
The cash value that they can borrow from, is that interest free?
So you only pay 3% when you borrow. Yes.
Okay,
So
3%.
off the bat, you're gonna have to borrow the 3.5, I think it is, or 3.7. But yeah, that's all you pay up. So you can pay it up front when you're borrowing immediately upon, doing the borrowing transaction, or you can pay it at the end of the year. So you have a full 12 months to pay that 3.7. I always tell my clients when they do come and borrow, they say, can I take 50 grand for so-and-so to buy a new vehicle or to fund whatever, a wedding? And they ask me, can I pay the interest now or later? I'm like, you can pay it later. Absolutely. You have 12 months to pay it back. However, I don't want to be chasing you in 12 months to remind you to pay this interest. Let's just take care of it now. You have additional money in there. Let's just get it over with. So none of us forget, there's no surprises. You don't get taxed. So, but yes, it's optional. It's only a one-time fee to borrow. Now, if you borrow multiple times in 1 year, so every time you borrow, you're going to have to pay 3% because it's like a loan. You know what I'm saying? So it's really important to remember that. It's not just one time annually, because if you borrow 5 times annually, it's just like a loan. So you have to pay 3%. Okay. Anybody else have questions? And just so you know, you guys, just because we're looking at big numbers right now, remember this product is for everybody. There is no minimum. I mean, I think the minimum to pay into it is about, I don't know, I've had clients pay $50 and I've had clients give me millions and millions of dollars. So this can be started for anybody. Again, I mean, the sooner and earlier your client starts it, the better. People think this is not affordable, but it really is. It's better to start now when they're young and healthy and they can get approved. And then, I don't know, maybe in 5 years, they're in a better position financially. And again, we can always transfer any accumulated cash value that they have into a new contract. That way they start with a lump sum amount, a down payment per se, if that makes sense. So, okay. Anybody else have questions?
No, other than to just say that you're the best. Thank
Duh.
you. Appreciate it. She said, duh. Duh.
So yeah, this is it, you guys. I love this product. It's very, very good and it's very hard to beat. So yeah, keep that in mind because you can go with